something just happened that Argentina fans were absolutely not ready for. Ángel Di María, one of the most decorated, most respected players this national team has ever produced, finally broke his silence on that final. And what came out of his mouth? Not excuses, not conspiracy talk, not another finger pointed at the referees or the schedule or some invisible script written against Argentina. The truth. Raw, uncomfortable, no-spin truth. And right now, that truth is ripping through the fan base like wildfire. Because if the players who were actually on that pitch aren't buying the victim narrative anymore, who exactly is left to defend it? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Messi fans are reeling right now. Rewind with me for a second, because you need the full picture to understand just how seismic this moment really is. Days have passed since that final whistle blew. Days. And instead of processing it, a massive chunk of the fan base has spiraled deeper into denial with every single one of them. Petitions demanding a replay are circulating like it's a real possibility. Grown adults are insisting the match was rigged. There's this bizarre entitlement to a redo, as if refusing to accept a result hard enough will somehow rewrite it. We saw this exact playbook out of Qatar. This delusion that if you scream loud enough, for long enough, reality itself will cave and bend around your version of events. And sure, losing a World Cup final should hurt. It's supposed to hurt. But there's a canyon-sized difference between grieving a loss like an adult and constructing an entire fantasy universe where Spain didn't actually earn that trophy, where the sport itself is somehow broken simply because Argentina isn't the one holding it up. Because here's the part nobody in that camp wants to hear. Spain wasn't handed a single thing. Spain obliterated Argentina from the opening whistle to the final one. It wasn't close, and deep down, they know it. Some fans simply cannot process getting dominated that completely on the biggest stage the sport has to offer, so rather than sit in that discomfort, they built themselves an alternate reality, one where the England match magically cleared the path for a Spanish coronation, one where the entire tournament was secretly scripted from the start. Except, here's the funny thing about a scripted coronation, nobody bothered telling the players, because Spain celebrated draped in light blue and white like it actually meant something. If the whole thing was pre-written, somebody clearly forgot to circulate the memo about school colors. Let's strip away every ounce of noise and look at what actually happened on that pitch. Argentina had to play a near-perfect defensive performance just to stay in the fight. They barricaded their own box for over 90 minutes straight. And even then, even with that level of desperation, referees waved off clean, legitimate Spanish goals that would have blown the scoreline wide open. Spain had to manufacture chance after chance, 3 legitimate scoring opportunities, just to convert a single goal. That is not luck. That is not a gift. That is a better team being throttled down to a respectable scoreline by sheer defensive desperation. Make no mistake. If Spain hadn't completely dismantled Argentina's entire game plan that day, Argentina walks away with that trophy. Zero debate. But Spain did dismantle it. That's football stripped down to its rawest form. That's the sport everyone claims to worship. Right up until the result doesn't fall their way, and suddenly, the whole thing is rigged. Because the scoreline was never really the headline of this final. What the entire football world walked away buzzing about was something far deeper. Character. And that's exactly where the wheels start coming off for the fan base, still lighting petitions on fire. For years, we've been spoon-fed one very specific story about Lionel Messi, the humble genius, the golden standard of grace under pressure, the man who supposedly rewrote what it means to be a true champion, not just with his feet, but in how he wins, and more importantly, in how he loses. He's the beacon, the blueprint, the name every kid in every academy is told to model themselves after. That story is collapsing in real time. Ask any die-hard Barcelona supporter who watched what unfolded with Marc Cucurella in that final. I've had this exact argument, face-to-face, with people in my own circle, lifelong Barca fans, who are now looking at Messi through a completely different lens. And let's be clear, none of this is new behavior magically appearing out of thin air. This is a pattern decades in the making. People conveniently forget Messi spitting directly at an opponent during his Barcelona years, blasting the ball into the crowd in a fit of pure rage when a match wasn't going his way. That temper has always been sitting right beneath the surface. It's just been buried under 2 decades of a media machine that only ever chose to show us one side of the story. Now compare that to Flaco Lopez in that very same final, a young player carrying himself with real composure, real leadership, real respect for the game, on the single biggest stage of his career. That's what grace under pressure actually looks like in practice. And notice something, it wasn't the guy the entire planet has been told to worship. So here's why this moment hits as hard as it does. While one loud, desperate corner of the fan base keeps screaming about being robbed, keeps drafting replay petitions, keeps manufacturing conspiracy after conspiracy, the actual players who stood on that pitch are refusing to play along with any of it. Ángel Di María, as Argentine as it gets, a man who has bled for that badge for nearly 2 decades, was asked point-blank how he saw the final. And he didn't flinch, he didn't dodge, he didn't retreat into excuses like half his own fan base has. He said it straight. It was tough. Things simply didn't go Argentina's way that day. Spain played incredible football, Argentina couldn't win the ball back, and it cost them dearly. That's it. No conspiracy, no stolen trophy, just brutal, unfiltered respect for a team that outplayed his. And for Di María personally, the real celebration had already happened, back in the semi-finals, with an entire nation united behind a group of young players. That joy was real, and it never needed a trophy to validate it. This right here, is what real accountability sounds like. This is a champion accepting defeat, with his head held high, not buried in denial. And it is exactly the example so many fans desperately need right now, because the alternative, the relentless whining, the excuse manufacturing, the flat-out refusal to let a fair result stand, is only making the entire situation more humiliating with every passing day. So let's call this exactly what it is. The world did not watch a robbery unfold in that final. The world watched beautiful football completely obliterate anti-football, live, in real time, in front of billions. That's not bias. That's not a script. That's simply what happens when a genuinely dominant side collides with a team that had to scrape and grind through every single round just to reach that stage in the first place. And let's be honest about the road it took to get there. That bracket was far from a gauntlet. Even against objectively weaker sides, it was a struggle from start to finish. The single best performance of the entire run, the England match, only happened because England sat back and played scared, defending for dear life instead of ever attacking. That wasn't a masterclass. That was pure opportunism against a team too timid to take the game to them. The very moment Argentina ran into a side that actually knew how to play, that actually came to win, it wasn't competitive, it wasn't remotely close. So now, days later, while the petitions keep multiplying and the conspiracy theories keep spiraling, one of Argentina's own legends stood up and chose truth over comfort. Di María didn't need a script. He didn't need a narrative to protect. He just said it exactly how it happened. And in doing so, he quietly exposed just how detached from reality a chunk of this fan base has become. Messi was supposed to be the standard, the blueprint, the one man who taught an entire generation how to win with class and lose with dignity. Instead, it was Di María who delivered that lesson in real time, and Messi, in that final, missed the memo completely. That's the real headline here. It's not just that Spain beat Argentina, it's that the loudest voices demanding a replay just got flatly contradicted by their own teammate. A man who was actually out there on that pitch, who has earned the right to speak on this 1,000 times over, more than anyone typing furiously in a comment section ever will. So to everyone still clutching onto the conspiracy, it's finished. The result stands. The world already saw the truth. And now, so has Di María. What's your take on Di María's comments? Do you think this changes anything for the fans still demanding a replay? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading every single one. Take care, and I'll see you next time.